The topic of tonight is in the beginning. For me, in the beginning, it was about ignorance and lack of information. My mother was 17 years of age when I was born. Not because she didn't know what was going on, but because along the Gulf Coast of America, they didn't have sex education in schools. So my parents didn't break the rules, they played by the rules. First of all, to have sex with someone, you had to be married. So my mother and my father coordinated how they were going to do this. It was a bank holiday weekend. They had Monday off from school. My mother told her parents that she was going to have a sleepover with her friends. My father told his parents he was going to go fishing with his friends. And they ran off to Mississippi and they eloped, they got married, they spent the whole weekend doing things that you do when you have teenage hormones coursing through your veins. 3 months later, my mother finds out she's pregnant. She was shocked. She couldn't believe it. She hadn't ordered the stork. She hadn't done the family planning. It was so very unexpected. And for the 9 months while I was growing in her belly, she told herself, my child will have knowledge. My child will have information. My child will have power. And because of that, for me, in the beginning, there was trust. I never had to lie to my mom. She was my best friend. I remember being 8 years of age when this happened, but let's roll back. My grandmother told me when I was a little kid, the Easter bunny, what does that have to do with Easter? I don't know. But brought a basket of chocolate to every child in every city, in every state, in every country in one night. And in my little 5-year-old brain, that had to be an enormous rabbit. This rabbit was massive. It wasn't one of those little things you get at the pet store. So I remember I'm 8 years of age. My mother has, my father ran off. He went to Vietnam because, oh, baby, as you do. And my dad raised me. My mother remarried when I was 7 years of age. We moved to Tennessee. He was an electrical engineer, and so the company would move him around. And it's the night before Easter. And I'm lying in bed, and I hear the crinkling of the wrapping around the basket. And I'm like, oh, the Easter Bunny is in our lounge! The Easter Bunny's here! And my bedroom was on the corridor, and I just kept waiting for the door to close, to hear the door, because our door had a bit of a squeak. And I never heard the Easter Bunny leave. And I was getting nervous, and I remember I was just lying there, just like in my bed, just, why is that rabbit still in our house? He has an agenda. And I was just, I remember the sweat just rolling down. And then I finally decide to open an eye, and out of the corner of my eye, I see the end of a cigarette glow. Now, in my 8-year-old mind, there's a 9-foot-tall rabbit smoking a fag in my dad's chair. I'm petrified. Petrified. The next day, I wasn't interested in looking for Easter eggs. By the way, my parents were atheists, so they didn't make me go to church, but they didn't want me to miss out on the rituals of other children. So they kind of kept the magic alive until I was old enough to figure it out or ask the questions and they would explain. I was not interested in the chocolate. I wasn't interested in the Easter eggs. I was exhausted. I'd been awake all night waiting for that rabbit to get out of our house. And finally she asked me, are you okay? Are you not feeling well? Should I take your temperature? And I'm like, no, I'm not sick. Come here, I'm going to tell you what happened last night. And I tell her the story and she starts laughing. I'm like, it's not funny. And then she said, Dory, Jack and I are the Easter Bunny. Jack went and put your Easter basket in the lounge, had a cigarette in his chair, and then went back to bed. And then I guess she saw my face just light up like, I have knowledge. I can't wait to tell everyone at school. And then she said to me, she said, Dory, please don't ruin the magic for the kids at school. Let everyone find out on their own time. And that was the only time I ever actually kept a secret. So the next one, I got to run. I got 2 minutes. So, fast forward years later. I'm 20 years of age. My mother and I are driving from Texas, where I grew up, to Alabama to visit my grandmother. And we're playing this game called True Confessions. I'm telling her things that I did in high school that I thought I got away with. She already knew about them. She's like, I knew that you had parties. We'd leave the house, it'd be a mess. We'd come back, it was spotless. All right, fair play, free housekeeping. But the best one, the one that stumped me, and the only time I was speechless in my own life, my entire life, was my mother. And I'm like, okay, it's your turn. You tell me one. And she said, well, your father and I knew you were stealing our dope. She said, Dory, we didn't smoke every day. We just smoked when the neighbors came around to play cards. We went to roll a joint one day and it was gone. We left just enough in the bag that it smelled like weed, filled it up with dried parsley, shook it up, stuck it back under the mattress. We kept the good shit in the sock drawer. I was shocked. You know what, Mom? She said, yes, I do, Dory. It's called the placebo effect. So I'd like to close with saying if anybody's got any parsley on them, I'd like to roll up and enjoy a nice parsley cigarette before the evening is over. And thank you for your time.